Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Fatin, Asyiera, Nabila, binti Shamshol, Bhari, and my other group members are Staeffy, Daeineira, Sudin, and Ahmad, Firdaus, Khairuddin. So today we are going to present to you about mini research for subject Introduction to Sociology, which is how cross-racial adoption affect children and society. So let's go to the research.
So the first one is the introduction. Interracial adoption, or called as cross-racial adoption, refers to the act of placing a child of one racial or ethnic group with adoptive parents of another racial or ethnic group. Fundamentally, it is when the parents want to adopt and raise a child that is not the same race or ethnic with them. This issue has not been spoken that much, and it is too underrated because it is labeled as a sensitive issue, as it consists of speaking out loud about the difference in races and cultures. We can't help but to raise this matter as we're curious about others' opinions and thoughts about it, since Malaysia, specifically in Sabah, has many ethnics and cultures. Approximately 40 different group of tribes existed. The target audience for our research is among KPTM Sempurna students, as the students come from different subcultures and live in a different community throughout their lives. Therefore, surely the outcomes of this research will be vary and the responses will be different from each other. The purpose of this research is to observe on how many percentage of students who have knowledge about the cross-racial adoption, as it is not a topic that is always talked about in a community. Other than that, we also observed the participants' responses about these issues, such as whether they accept cross-racial adoption in their community or totally against it, reasons and the rationale on why there are some parents adopt children of different races, and the effects of this issue among the parents, the child adopted, and their communities.
Methodology. So this research is using a questionnaire in Google Form. It is because using Google Form is easy to use and understand. Furthermore, it's also easy to draw form elements and organize them based on the questionnaire. Google Form also can store the feedback that we receive so we can analyze it more detail and accuracy. Other than that, we can send it by email, integrate it into our website, or send the link via social media platforms such as WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook. In the questionnaire, there are 3 sections. In section A, we ask about their age, program, and gender. In section B, it questions their knowledge about cross-racial adoption. In section C, it questions about their opinions whether they accept cross-racial adoption in a community or totally against it. Section A, demography. So as you can see here, the pie chart shows the percentage of gender of the respondent. The highest percentage is female gender with 68.8%. Also, the lowest gender is male with 31.3%. It can show that majority of the respondent is female gender. Next, age. So as you can see here, the bar graph shows the percentage of age of the students in KPTMS. The highest percentage is 19 years old with 56.3%. The second highest percentage is 20 years old with 37.5%. The lowest percentage is 28 years old with 6.3%. This scan shows that 19 years old is the most active respondent in this questionnaire. The bar graph shows that percentage of the program. The highest percentage is BE101 course with 25%. BE101 is TESL program. The second highest is AB107 course with 18.8%. AB107 is Human Resource Management program. The lowest percentage is AT101 course with 12.5%. AT101 is Tourism program. This can be shown that the majority of the respondents are from BE101 course.
Now move to 3.2 section B, knowledge and understanding about cross-racial adoption. In this section, the questionnaire is about the knowledge and understanding about cross-racial adoption among students in KPTM. This section we have provided 4 questions. First question: I know and have heard about cross-racial adoption. Second, I understand the meaning of cross-racial adoption. Third, I understand that discrimination and racism could happen if one does not understand the concept of cross-racial adoption. Fourth is, I understand the reason why some parents decide to adopt children with different race or cultures. Based on the data that we have collected from the questionnaire, this is the answer from student in KPTM. The bar graph shows that 68.8% of respondents agree with this question or statement. It means that quite a lot of students, KPTM students, know and have heard about cross-racial adoption before. Then 18.8% respondents are neutral these questions, which means they didn't know or might have only heard cross-racial adoption before. The remaining 12.6% respondents claims to disagree of this question. Unlike the rest, they neither known nor heard about cross-racial adoption. Next question is, this question or statement is about whether they understand the meaning of cross-racial adoption. From the bar graphs, it shows that 56.3% respondents are agree to these questions. It means majority of KPTM students understand the meaning of cross-racial adoption, while 31.3% respondents are neutral to this question, means they knew about this cross-racial adoption but did not understand much about it. The rest 12.6% respondents are disagree to these questions, which mean the least number of KPTM students did not understand the meaning of cross-racial adoption. To the next question. In this question or statement, respondents are being asked if they understand that discrimination or racism could happen if one does not understand the concept of cross-racial adoption. From the bar graphs, about 75% respondents are agree to these questions. It means that most of KPTM students are understand that discrimination and racism could happen if they did not understand the concept of cross-racial adoption. About 18.8% respondents are neutral to these questions, means that they probably know to some point that discrimination and racism could happen if they did not understand the concept. Only 6.3% respondents disagree to these questions, which means they did not understand discrimination and racism could happen if they did not understand the concept of cross-racial adoption. To the last question in this section B, in this bar graph, it shows that if they understand the reason why some parents decide to adopt children with different races or cultures, about 62.5% of respondents that understand the reason why some parents adopt children with different races or cultures. Means that majority of KPTM students understand about why some parents decide to adopt children with different races. About 25% respondents going neutral for this question, which means that they only understand some reason about why parents decide to adopt children with different races. The rest 12.6% of respondents are disagree to this question. It means that they did not understand why parents decide to adopt children with different races or cultures.
Next, let's go to the next point, which is 3.3, under the title Section C, Opinions Towards Cross-Racial Adoption. In this section, we had prepared 2 questions where respondents have to answer based on their personal opinions and own words towards cross-racial adoption. The first question is, in your opinion, do you accept cross-racial adoption in your community? Please give an explanation. The second question is, what do you think the effects of cross-racial adoption towards the family, the adopted children, and the community? From the responses at the first question, there are varieties of answers that the respondents had responded. Most of the respondents agree to accept if someone from their community decides to adopt children from different cultures and beliefs, while some are not sure whether it's a good idea or not. Just from their answers, we get to know that most of the respondents are very open-minded and ready to accept other people into their community without any feeling of prejudice. Other than that, we also get to analyze their answers and explanation towards their reasons. Most of respondents' answers are about loving each other unconditionally without debating the differences in skin color or appearance and their background life. From different cultures, they believe that everyone, no matter how big the differences are, deserved to be loved equally. The second question is asking about the effects of cross-racial adoption towards the family, the adopted children, and the community. For these questions, the answers are very interesting as they have their own opinion, or they call it as the pros and the cons. Some of the respondents answered that the effects will be on the positive side. This is because they believe that the family will learn about the adopted child's cultures and try to understand her or his in order to make sure the child grows in comfortable surroundings. They also believe that the community also will slowly accept the children despite their dissimilarity. On the other side, some of the respondents also answered that it will be more to the negative side. This is because they believed that there will be a lot of misunderstanding as the child grows because he or she does not familiar with the community. The most popular answers for this question were it would create racism towards the adopted child in the community.
In conclusion, most of students in College Politek Mara Sempurna Sabah KPTMSS are understand the meaning of cross-racial adoption. Then, most of them also accepts cross-racial adoption in our community. So we can conclude that discrimination and racism could happen if one does not understand the concept of cross-racial adoption.